Tesse, so what does your role of governance professional involve?
Yeah, it's a lovely question to ask. A governance professional deals with compliance issues, the filing, the support the board, and, really make sure that there is a transparent regime in place and accountability is great. And these are things that I have done for the last 3 decades. However, that role for me has evolved. So my role very much has been and still is about looking at compliance matters, but also looking at issues relating to the dynamics of governing boards. I work with boards in all sectors. Mainly, I have been working with nonprofit boards and charities, now with higher education organizations, but it actually is to make sure that they have compliance, and that's right, making sure they have conformance, performance. And in more recent years, I've been focused on how they can work to optimal ability using the talents of the team, the board team or the executive team, and to have impact.
Thank you, Tessie. That's such a well-articulated response. Moving on to my second question, what contribution have you made to any organization or a profession as a whole? So has your work had any type of significant impact?
Well, I'd like to hope that my work has had an impact. As a governance professional, what my contribution has been to organizations, to governing boards, to people who work in organizations, and to people who volunteer in the charity world in organizations, is to ensure that they're able to bring their best selves in terms of performance and personality to their roles, and to ensure that as much as they're able, they have impact and they're able to bring about change, that they're able to change things and they're able to see the change that their own contribution makes, that it makes a difference. And what I have loved seeing over the years is that they actually are able to say that because of our contribution, we have been better, we have been stronger, we have been able to have an impact.
Thank you, Tessie. How have you been able to encourage, support, and raise awareness of good governance?
Again, a lovely question of how I've been able to support and encourage and raise awareness of good governance is to be able to look at the different levels that a governing board can get through in order to achieve its highest potential. So a lot of it has been around training, raising awareness through training. And there's always room to know more, to keep up to date, to have what I'd call check-ins with boards to make sure that they're still doing the right things in the right way with the right people, with the right aims. And so that has been one of the things. But other things have been in a virtual reality, which we have been now with the pandemic for so many months, is to be able to work remotely through webinars and through networking, yes, virtual networking to get to know each other, but more than that, to actually have fun. I know that it's really hard because people see governance sometimes as being very dry, but I love bringing fun to the boardroom so that the board is not bored. I like to see people enjoying themselves, having a laugh. And even when things are not great, as they haven't been for a lot of organizations, a lot of boards, and for us, to actually be able to look at things that have gone right and to get support when things have not, have gone wrong. And it's just getting that balance to see life in multicolor, that it just is not all so serious.
Thank you, Tessie. You've already spoken a bit about networking, but I want to ask, how have you built powerful relationships with your stakeholders so far?
Oh, that's excellent question about how I built relationships with stakeholders. And for me, particularly in the non-for-profit world, the not-profit world, charity world, how, what has been important is getting people engaged. And how I've been able to do this is, yes, I've mentioned networking, but also the type of networking. So it's actually encouraging people to meet people where they're at, even if that's virtual, and to let them see their visibility on display. So this year, I have seen through the pandemic, people who have really valued coming to meetups. I have been a member at a number of meetups, and I've spoken at a number of meetups, and we've been able to actually go on different walks, and the stakeholders have gone on walks with their boards, and people who have been using the service have been able to see the services that are on offer through virtual reality, through digital channels, and they've been able to engage there. And I think the engagement very much has been to say that when you have a board, the board is actually connected to the work it does and to the people who are at the receiving end of that work. And I have been able to encourage that through the work I do as a governance professional, by encouraging the boards to do it not as something that's an add-on, but something that's an integral part of the work that they do.
Thank you, Tesse. So my last and final question is, have you taken on a high-profile project that had had a materially positive impact, or have you demonstrated effective leadership in the achievement of organizational objectives?
I really love the question about what I have done to achieve or what I have been able to do that has a high profile impact. In April 2020, it was just the beginning of lockdown, and I said there's no time at the present to achieve a long held dream that I had. And what I did was I actually set up a virtual network called the Wellbeing and Resilience Leadership Initiative. And basically what this was to do was to actually signpost people to resources and to experts, thought leaders who were interested in well-being, who were building up boards to be resilient, who were actually able to be compassionate and supportive of individuals like board members, like chief executives, other board professionals, governance professionals, and to make that available at no charge to people who needed it. And I thought that if I got like 20, 30 people, I would be good with that. I was quite happy. I mean, it would have just been reaching one person. That would have been good. But actually, I was surprised that it was hundreds of people that connected, mainly through LinkedIn. And thus was born a network which is virtual at no cost, just linking people with each other. And the crowning glory for me was being asked at the AGM of the Charity Commission to ask a question on the pandemic and on the Charity Governance Code, principles 6 and 7 and 5, which were about the effectiveness of boards, about diversity, equality, and inclusion, and about engaging accountably with members and stakeholders. And I asked that question, and it was just the best feeling. And it's gone on from there as I've been able to link that to my podcast, Tesse Talks and Tesse Leads. So really it's making the governance professional role accessible in a way that people can use it, that people can hear it, and that people can read about it.
Thank you, Tesse.
Thank you so much. I really, really value such great questions. Thank you.
Thank you.